Hello everyone, welcome to Howstuffinmycarworks channel. A couple days ago I picked up this 2001 Ford Mustang GT with a V8. It has a little modification. Previous owner did a lot of stuff to it because he wanted to make it a track car, and I think eventually he just got tired of putting money on this car and more likely gave up on it. So we're going to be going over the stuff that was done, and what's worth keeping we'll keep, what's not worth keeping we're going to either change or reverse, because some of the stuff is probably not functional on the street. Just like I said, he wanted to make it a track car, so he didn't really care, you know, what it did on the street. No AC, no power steering, certain things like that. But today's video is about finishing the exhaust. He installed full-length headers, dual exhaust system all the way to the back. Sounds really cool. But he didn't finish putting the tailpipes. He did give me the tailpipes when I bought the car, but there is no hardware to install them. So this morning I went to my local auto parts store and I bought a few supplies that I feel are going to be what I need to do this. And I'm going to go ahead and do the job, and that way if you run into this situation, or you bought a dual exhaust system for a car like this and maybe it didn't come with all the hardware and you're trying to figure out how to make it work correctly, this may be a better option. I'm not sure, because like I said, I don't know what kind of hardware this tailpipes came with since I don't have them. So I'm going to bring the camera up close to show you what I bought. Okay, so let's go over the supplies. So I got these two chrome tips. They're going to be modified a little bit to make them work the way I want them. But here's the part number. That way if you end up liking the way they're going to look when it's completed, that's the part number. Two of them. I got four 2.5 inch clamps. This was actually purchased at the hardware store. This sheet right here, I'm going to make a heat shield because the tailpipe on the passenger side, it runs next to the fuel inlet hose, and I don't want it to create enough heat that it's going to melt it and probably catch this darn car on fire. So I don't want that. And this right here, here's a barcode on it. This is what I'm going to use to make the hangers that are going to fasten to the original mounting brackets that the OEM exhaust had. Okay, so here's how the exhaust system looks before putting the tailpipes on. So there's driver's side, there's the passenger side, and I have this tailpipe already guided through the axle, through the top of the axle. And obviously you don't want to be supporting the car through the axle because then it's going to be way up there. So it needs to be supported through the body. Like here I have a jack stand on this side, and I have a jack stand on this side. That way the axle can hang as much as possible. Now another thing, like I said, here are the fuel inlet hoses right here. So the exhaust that is going to run right here, I don't want it to create enough heat to where they melt. So that's why I said earlier, I'm going to make a heat shield so it can protect these. Alright, so as you can tell, you have to play with these things and twist them to get them through. So right now I just want to see how much I'm going to cut this pipe, because I got to put a tip on. So I got to make sure I get this a decent amount into the muffler so it's held by the clamp. So I'm going to make a mark. So here's one of the tips. One of the things that I did already, I took these brackets off, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this off and that off so I can slide it inside the pipe and not over it like this was supposed to be. Another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make a cut right here on one of the sides so it can compress a little bit when I try to push it into the pipe, because this is a very tight fit. So this will definitely go in. I just tapped it in. I ended up making a small cut on both sides, just so you know, in case you end up using this kind of tips. I'm not going to drive it in all the way yet, because obviously I need to cut this pipe, because otherwise this thing is going to be sticking out all the way out here, and there's no way. So now I got to see. I pretty much have to cut the pipe. Got to figure out what the cut is. So let's see. Right now, if I leave it like that, I'm looking about 4 inches all the way here, but I still have to drive it in, so we're looking at about 1.5 that I'm going to drive it in, and then the pipe itself is not all the way out, so we're looking at another inch. So if I cut it 2.5, that should be perfect. So I'm going to cut the pipe 2.5 inches. But so far that looks like it clears. So next step is to make the mounting bracket. So right here, this is the part that needs to be mounted to, and the steel rod that I bought, that's the one that's going to slide in there, and I'm going to bend it. I'm going to make a 90-degree bend, and I'm going to put a clamp right here, exhaust clamp facing down, and I'm going to weld this rod to the clamp. That way it can hold the pipe, and it'll have some flexibility because of the OEM rubber mount. Okay, so I have a clamp on the pipe right there, and I was debating whether I was going to have it this way and weld it to this part, or do it this way. And because from underneath, I just don't want these things to be sticking out. I just don't want the look when you're looking behind the car and see these right there. So instead, I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to weld this piece to here. So here's the piece of rod that I cut. I cut it 5.5, and now what I need to see is the distance when this pipe is where it needs to be. How much do I need to bend this piece of rod? So let's see, looks like, make sure I got it where it should be. Nice and clean looking, like that. So right there. So I would say about 1.5 inches. Okay, so I have the clamp right here, ready to be welded. Put this in the center, obviously, in a square. So I'm going to go ahead and weld it. So here it is, all bolted down. This is how it looks right there. And I angled it so it would move the pipe out a little bit. because otherwise it was over here. So that's one of the advantages. You can just move the bracket and it moves it. So one of the things obviously that needs to be very important, make sure that the pipe clears the gas tank, you know, that it's not hitting the body. And definitely this trailing arm right here, you want it away from it, because as the suspension travels up and down, the last thing you want is to make a hole in the pipe or have this weird noise that you won't even know where in the wall is coming from every time you go over a bump, scraping up and down until, like I said, until it rubs the hole completely. So pay a lot of attention when you're putting this on. You know, you have to continuously twist it, you know, side to side until you get the right angle, the right distance that clears everything. Once everything is clear, then obviously fasten everything up. This is what was already on. I showed you earlier when I started the video. Previous owner had it all the way up to here, and everything else he bolted down. So I just finished putting this on, and now what I'm going to do is put the other one on behind the jack stand that I placed to support the exhaust system, so it's not hanging on the headers and ruin them. So I'm gonna detach this whole section to be able to connect it to the tailpipe. So the only part that I'm gonna film, because it's pretty much identical on the other side as far as fastening the pipe to the vehicle, is what I mentioned at the beginning, which disconnecting this part so I can slide the pipe in and finish fastening everything up. So what I'm going to do now is put the nuts on top and tighten them up, and that will protect those lines in case the pipe gets so hot that they melt and catches this car on fire. So I'm not going to film that, you get the idea. Just wanted to show you how I did it. Okay, so last look at the exhaust before I take the car down and start it up. So here's how this side looks, how it was mounted. Here's the passenger side. There's the heat shield. We'll mount it. And I'm going to show you obviously all of this was already installed. It's a full catback system, and it doesn't have catalytic converters. So that's why I said the person who I bought this car from, he wanted to make it a race car or a track car basically. And if you look further front, you can see the full-length headers that he installed. Ceramic coated full-length headers. There's the other side right there. So it has a really sweet sound. I'm not sure if by installing the rear pipes is going to make it quieter. It's possible, but either way it looks nicer, it looks cleaner with the tips instead of just the gaps. So there it is. You can see it, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to lower it so we can start it and see how it sounds. Now you know what it takes to finish installing the tailpipes on a full catback exhaust system with the full-length headers on a Mustang GT. Thanks for watching. See you next time.